Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about something fun, something we all do, something that's part of everyday life, but also full of decisions, surprises, and sometimes a little bit of stress. Yes, you guessed it, we're talking about shopping for clothes. Now, before we dive in, I want you to imagine something. Close your eyes if you'd like. You're standing in front of your closet. The door is open. You look inside. But, you realize you have nothing to wear. Not because your closet is empty, but because, well, nothing in there feels right anymore. Maybe it's too old, maybe it doesn't fit, or maybe it just isn't your style. So, what do? Exactly. You go shopping. But shopping for clothes isn't just about buying something new. It's a whole experience. It tells us something about who we are. It shows our taste, our size, our lifestyle, even our mood sometimes. Let me tell you a little story. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was feeling a bit tired but also excited. I had a small party to go to that evening, nothing too fancy, but I still wanted to look nice. So I thought, why not get a new shirt? Maybe something fresh, something cool, but not too expensive. I grabbed my bag, put on my comfortable sneakers, and headed to the shopping center in town. Now, let me tell you about this place. It's not too big, but it has all the popular stores. You've got fast fashion shops like H&M, Zara, and Uniqlo, and some local shops too, where you can sometimes find hidden treasures. As I walked through the doors, the smell of new clothes hit me. You know the one, fresh fabric, new shoes, and a hint of perfume from other shoppers. There was music playing in the background, some kind of pop music with a good beat. It gave the whole place energy. Like, yes, this is the place to be. I decided to start at my usual favorite, Uniqlo. Why? Well, I like their simple designs. Nothing too loud. Their clothes are comfortable, and the quality is pretty good for the price. Plus, I know my size there, which brings me to a very important point. When you're shopping for clothes, one of the most important things to know is your size. But here's the tricky part. Sizes can change depending on the store, the brand, or even the country. For example, in one shop I might wear a medium. In another, I need a large. And once, in a different brand, I kid you not, I needed an extra small. I'm still confused about that. So how do I choose my size? Well, I usually do two things. First, I check the label, the little tag inside the shirt or pants. It usually shows a number or a letter like S, M, L, or XL. Then I hold the item up in front of me. I stretch it out a bit and look in the mirror. Does it look like it would fit? Sometimes yes, sometimes not quite. But here's the truth. The best way to know if something fits is to try it on. And that's where we're going to pause for now, because the dressing room, my friends, is a whole world of its own. That's where the real fun, and sometimes the real frustration, begins. But before we get into that, I want to ask you something. What do you do when you go shopping for clothes? Do you try things on? Or do you just grab what you think will fit and head to the register? Do you shop alone or with friends? And do you like shopping? Or is it something you'd rather avoid? Let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to hear your experience. We all shop in different ways, and learning about that is not just interesting, it's also a great way to practice English. All right. So we've walked into the shop, we've looked around, we've chosen a few things, we've guessed our size, and now it's time to step into the changing room. But let's save that part of the adventure for just a moment. Coming up next in part 2, I'll take you inside the fitting room with me. We'll talk about what works, what doesn't, and how trying on clothes can be both a discovery and sometimes a disaster. Stick with me. This is where the story gets interesting. So, we've chosen some clothes. We're holding a shirt in one hand, maybe a pair of jeans in the other. We're feeling hopeful, a little curious, and maybe just a bit nervous. Because now, it's time for the changing room. Now, let me tell you, trying clothes on is like going on a mini adventure. You never really know how it's going to end. Sometimes it's a perfect fit on the first try. And sometimes, well, let's just say it can be surprising. So there I was, standing in line for the changing room at Uniqlo. I had 3 items with me, a dark blue shirt, a light jacket, and a pair of pants. I was feeling pretty confident. I thought, hey, I know my size. This won't take long. I stepped into the little room. It had a curtain, not a door, and a big mirror. There were hooks on the wall, and a small bench where you can sit or put your bag. I tried the shirt first. I pulled it on over my head, looked in the mirror, and something didn't feel right. It looked okay, but the shoulders were too tight. I raised my arms, and the sleeves pulled up like I was turning into the Hulk. Okay, no problem, I thought. I'll just try the jacket. This time it was better. It fit nicely around my arms and chest. I looked in the mirror and gave myself a little nod. Yes, this works. I even did that thing where you pretend you're walking down the street just to see how it moves. Don't lie. We've all done it. Then came the pants. Now, pants are the hardest thing to shop for, in my opinion. Every brand has a different idea of what medium means. I tried them on, looked in the mirror, and, oh no, too long in the legs, too tight at the waist. I bent down and I thought the button was going to pop off like a rocket. This is where it's helpful to learn some useful shopping phrases. If you're ever in a store and something doesn't fit, you might say, "Do you have this in a larger size? Is there a fitting room I can use? Can I try this on? It's too small in the shoulders. These pants are too tight around the waist." Even simple words like tight, loose, long, short, small, big can help you explain exactly what you need. So, I stepped out of the changing room holding the pants, looking just a bit confused. A store assistant walked by and gave me a friendly smile. She said, "Not the right size?" And I laughed and said, "Not even close." She helped me find a better pair. Same style, different size, and that one fit perfectly. Comfortable, not too long, not too short. And right then, I remembered something important. It's okay when things don't fit at first. That's why we try them on. Shopping is a process. Sometimes it takes 1 try, sometimes 3 or 4. And if you're shopping in a place where they speak English, don't be afraid to ask for help. Most store assistants are happy to guide you. And it's a great way to practice your English in a real-life situation. Now let me ask you, what kind of shopper are you? Are you the quick and focused type? You go in, you get what you need, and you're out? Or are you the explorer? You walk through every aisle, touch every fabric, try 10 things even if you only need 1. For me, I'm somewhere in the middle. I enjoy looking around, but I don't like spending too long. If I try on 5 things and nothing fits, I usually take a break, get a coffee, and come back later. Sometimes I shop with friends too. That can be fun, especially when someone gives you an honest opinion, like, That shirt makes you look like a school teacher from 1985. Thanks, Julie. But really, it's all about how you feel in the clothes. If you feel good, you look good. So after trying everything on, I ended up buying 2 items, the jacket and the second pair of pants. Not bad, right? And as I left the store, I felt happy. Not just because I had something new to wear, but because I found things that felt like me. Things that fit, that were comfortable, and that made me feel confident for that evening's party. But the story doesn't end there. Because now, it's time to wear those clothes. And wearing something new brings its own surprises. Sometimes it feels great. Sometimes you notice something later you didn't see in the store. And sometimes, just sometimes, it becomes your new favorite outfit. But that part of the story, we'll talk about that in part 3. We've explored the store, we've faced the changing room, we've made our choices. Now, what happens next? Stick around, because in part 3, I'll tell you how it all turned out. Was the outfit a hit or a miss? And what did I learn from this little adventure in clothes shopping? So, we've walked into the shop, we've looked around, we've tried things on, and we finally made our choice. We bought a couple of items, something new, something that, hopefully, fits well, and now we're home. And let me tell you, that moment, when you take your shopping bag, open it, and look at what you bought, that's one of my favorite parts. There's this little feeling of excitement, like, did I make a good choice? Will I really wear this? Will people like it? And most importantly, do I like it? Let's go back to my story. Remember, I had a party to go to that evening. It wasn't anything too formal, just a friend's birthday. I didn't want to be overdressed, but I also didn't want to look like I just rolled out of bed. I took out the jacket and the pants I had bought earlier that day. I gave them a little shake. Sometimes clothes have that store-folded shape, you know what I mean? I changed into them, looked in the mirror, and yes, I was happy. The jacket made me feel kind of cool, not too flashy but stylish. The pants were just the right length, and most importantly, I could sit down without feeling like I was in a wrestling match with my waistband. Big win. Clothes are funny, aren't they? They're just pieces of fabric, but they carry so much meaning. They tell people something about us before we even speak. When you wear something that feels right, your confidence goes up. You stand a little taller. You smile a little more. You don't worry about your sleeves being too short or your jeans being too tight. You can just focus on enjoying the moment. At the party, a couple of people actually said, "Hey, nice jacket." And I smiled and said thank you, but inside I was thinking, yes. That shopping trip was totally worth it. But, and here's the twist, not every shopping story ends this way. Sometimes you bring something home, try it on again, and think, wait a second. Did this look different in the store? Maybe the light was better there. Or maybe you were just in a good mood. That's why it's important to keep the receipt just in case. Receipt, that's a good word to remember. It's the little paper or email that shows you paid for something. Most stores allow returns if you bring the item back with the receipt. In fact, that's a question you can ask when you're shopping. What's your return policy? Can I return this if it doesn't fit? How many days do I have to return it? These are all useful phrases that can save you time and money if things don't work out. And yes, I've made mistakes too. Once I bought a pair of shoes that were just a little tight. I thought, hey, they'll stretch out. Spoiler alert, they did not stretch. I wore them once, got blisters, and they now live at the back of my closet. Lesson learned. But honestly, that's part of the journey. Shopping isn't always about finding the perfect item. It's about learning what fits, what doesn't, and what makes you feel good. So here's what I want you to remember. When you go shopping for clothes, whether it's in your hometown, at a mall in another country, or even online, it's more than just a task. It's a chance to explore your style, to practice your English, and to learn a little more about yourself. Next time you shop, try asking for help in English. Use some of the words and phrases we talked about today. Try something new. Try something that scares you a little. Who knows? You might find your new favorite outfit. And most importantly, wear what makes you feel good. Because at the end of the day, fashion isn't about following every trend. It's about feeling like the best version of yourself. So now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments, what was your last shopping trip like? What did you buy? Do you enjoy trying clothes on, or do you find it stressful? Have you ever had a shopping disaster or a big win? I'd love to hear your stories. If you found this video helpful or fun, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more language tips and real-life English practice, and of course, share this video with a friend who could use a little confidence in the fitting room. Thanks for shopping and learning with me today. Until next time, stay curious, stay confident, and keep speaking English. See you soon.